Hi, this is DarkFox127 and welcome to a Creation Kit live stream. I'm going to be trying to do one of these every Friday at 9 o'clock my time, so it's going to be whatever I decide to be modding at the time. My first live stream was more of a test really. I don't know how many of you actually joined me for that, but that was quite enjoyable, and since then I've sort of tried to advertise this a little. I haven't done a lot this week in terms of modding or tutorials or anything, I just haven't had time. But now is the time to mod Merscombe. So, the last live stream, which was the test, I sort of didn't know how it was pronounced, so it is Merscombe. That's how it's going to be pronounced. That has now been confirmed, which is brilliant. So, this is really annoying me, this mic. Keep popping. So I'm just going to carry on with this, carry on modding it and see what I can do. Now I have been working on the display cases here, that's about all I have had time to do. So this is going to showcase some of the main unique weaponry. As you can see, sort of Dawnbreaker there, Chill Rend, let's see a lot of the big sort of axes there. And these display cases will hopefully have collision because somebody has been kind enough to sort of, with a few conditions, put some collision on for them. It's a simple task of adding collision apparently if you've got like a program like 3D Max or Blender, but I've tried both of those and I can't be doing with the hassle of trying to get the damn plugins to work. They are just a pain. So I've left it, and somebody has been kind enough to sort of add some collision to a few of my other resource objects, and hopefully we'll do the same for display cases as long as I let them use them in their mods, which is fine. I don't mind that. The whole point of the modding community is to share, so welcome all those of you that have joined, or maybe not joined just yet, but hopefully will join. If you're watching this sort of afterwards as pre-recorded, uploaded to YouTube, then welcome. Okay, I think we need to decide on what to do. Not sure I'll carry on with those display cases just yet. I might do in a bit, but I've got to script those. I've got these shields down the side here. Those are going to be sort of added as you maybe either enter the room or place into a container. They might work alongside these displays, and you have to put the certain different town shields in. It's all going to be just collectibles, this room, unique items. I've just got to decide how to do the furnishing of it. I'm just trying to think. The main thing that I have modded since I was last modding this is the windows, if we can get to see them. Because the house is all going to be based upon being broken down to begin with, it is going to need to have like the windows mashed in and dirt all over the floor. So I've managed to set up the windows and stuff where they're just going to look boarded up. I've done the same for the outside, and you'll go on the workbench and you will literally have to just replace the glass basically. And there's going to be other things like that for different areas. I might have some of the walls smashed in, things like that. So I'm not sure if there are created versions of these walls that are sort of mashed up, so I might have to create them. I think I did come across some. Let's have a look. What are they called? WH-int, and we'll go wood, wall, and I think, I'm not sure, some are smashed in. Actually, that's what I've been looking for as well. A lot of these walls have got the sort of these beams down them, and just to be able to put things like paintings on, which you might have noticed I had loaded up there, I'm going to want some of these nice and blank, so I want to replace that one with this one, which is a weirdly named wall. Just hit save so I can pull that dialog box forward again. But yeah, there were some mashed up versions of that as well, which is good. Ah, nah, that's no good. Screw that. Go back, change that to 1. I might be able to make one of those myself. Sort of take the one that I just had and just put the textures on there. That should be easy enough because it's the same sort of shape and design and style and everything. So that might work. But yeah, I think we've got some mucked up versions here. Those can work quite nicely. They remind me of something similar. You can get sort of wood, wooden floor even, and that's got mashed up pieces like that. So I think all they basically do is they grab the texture and they add an alpha channel to it, which just sticks holes in certain points, which is quite a good way of doing it. So we can have mashed up walls and stuff, so I'll have those as need fixing. Yeah, looks badass. It does look badass. So we shall. What shall we do? The thing that I was going to work on was just putting a little extra sort of decor around. So I think I'm going to go with paintings. Something that a lot of people, I get a lot of questions sometimes, basically on sort of plugin files and things like that. I mean, I'm no expert, but the way that these basically work is Mershkum is the active file here, the one that I'm editing, and I've loaded up what's the resource and tutorial one, which is, I believe, Super Nasty Pants. It's his little resource tutorial, the guy who made Build Your Own Home, and in this is how you obviously do some basic build your own home stuff, and also you've got sort of laid out weapon racks and things like that. Basically, we all know that the weapon racks are very, very irritating. So annoying. They don't work half the time. You can't duplicate them, otherwise you get what's called the dupe bug, and they just mess up. They don't work. And I find that most of the time, not all the time, but using this resource, if I just copy them out of his plugin file and paste them into my mod, they tend to work. Not all the time, but it's better than just trying to make them from scratch anyway. So, as I was saying about plugin files, if you save a mod with bits taken straight from a plugin file, then anything in the plugin file, it's not going to be saved in your mod. So you can't be messing around with the resource tutorial when it's just a plugin file and expect anything to save. Only the active file, things on the active file get saved. So the way you do it, if you want to drag something from like the plugin file, then you copy it. And that's not just in the items in the object window. It's items, sorry, not the object window, the render window. It's not just items in the render window, that's going to be items in the object window. So as we've got here, we've got a load of paintings here which are attached to that plugin file. These aren't on my active file, so I need to make these on my active file by editing them and making my own named version of it. So as soon as I make my own named version of it, that's it, that is attached to my active file, and when I save, it will be saved with it. But if I just dragged and dropped this this painting into here, then because it's currently attached only to the plugin file, it would be lost when I next load up my active file, even if I loaded up the plugin file with it. So unless this painting was an ESM, then it wouldn't save, basically. So I'm going to make this more painting, and the way I'm going to do this is just to help me out when it comes to including the meshes and textures in the final sort of the upload. When I've got to include the meshes and textures, just to help me out to know what I'm looking for, I am going to actually stick with the code name of these paintings because they're named the same in their textures and stuff as well, as you can see here. NIF 0108, that's really going to help me out. So I'm going to stick with that sort of naming convention and go, is it MC 0108? That's it, I thought I was missing something. There we go, and I'll name it that. And I'm going to create new form because I was editing the original, and there we go. So I've got that. I don't actually know what the hell that painting is, so that's nice. I probably won't actually be using that, so I'll just delete it. One thing about deleting is it will be gone once you next load it. It just puts a little D there. So what I will do, I'll go through these paintings, I'll see ones that I do actually want to use. And it's quite annoying in here. Can you turn that off? Oh, you can. There we go. It's okay, because usually when you're doing previewing of items, you can't always turn the ground plane off, but you can in there, so that's helpful. I can actually see the damn painting. Right.
You've got mail.
Apparently I've got mail. And let's have a look. We want something quite fitting, something that's nice. What I'm thinking of doing is going and finding a painting that I like and picking picking out the frame that I want as well and just changing it in NIF scope, if I can do that. Let's just see if we got anyone in. Not really, not yet. That's a shame. Oh, that's it. Custom painting for this place. It's tilted. Some of these are nice. That's quite nice. Probably use that. And what is that poking through the wall? Ah, that's my shields. Okay. Budge these out a bit so they're not coming through. Not clipping. I think they still are. No, they're not. Probably got the same there. Yep. So let's pull those out a little. And let's take a look. So I've moved the shields and let's put this painting in place now. That beam's not so bad there actually. Now I think what I'll do with the paintings, it'd be great to have them customizable, but the scripting involved in having that selectable and rotate through paintings, it's just not worth the hassle. And I think it'd I don't want to be able to click on every item in this home and have it change and be customizable. It's just going to go way over the top. So what I'll do with the paintings, they'll just be sort of standard, and you simply buy a collection from the shop and then they get pasted around the home. I think that's probably the best way to do it. I just want to make sure I don't go over the top with them. Now I've already got a dragon statue in the other room, like sort of major, and that's sold in the shop, so I think we'll put a painting, something really nice and relevant on here maybe. Oh, that's not very relevant. With a nice frame as well. Maybe. I quite like that one. I can always change this after, but this is just giving me the basic idea of where all the stuff's going to go. Go along to 3D data. 2, make that a frickin' hell. I was going to say a bit bigger. It's a bit too big. Okay then. I think that's a yes. Let's like they're a bit tilted or something. I think the fireplace is wonky. Welcome to Skyrim. If you move it up a bit, it gets a bit straighter at that point. And I don't think that's centered at all. That's better. There we go. You have to ignore sort of the flickering texture on the fireplace. That is a mystery to me, but when you're in the game it seems to be okay, so that's all good. Also set the fireplaces up now. They're also linked to the chimney on the outside, so you'll activate these. Well, I'll say activate, I mean you'll go up to them, you'll light the fire, so you'll have to put a certain amount of firewood in, say I think it's 4 firewood, and this is a feature I've had in Millwater Retreat, Riverside Shack. I think I've even had it in a later version of Corinthia Tower, and it'll last for about 8 hours and then it'll go out, and you'll obviously get the smoke in the chimney when the fire's lit. So yeah, that flickering's very strange. So let's think. This room we were considering because this is a joint project with Eleonora. We were considering that we'd have this room for sort of kids and stuff, because everyone's always shouting about Hearthfire, but that would mean that the mod would need to, or at least partially, rely on a mod which allows you to do that quite nicely. I think it uses sort of spells for locations, and you say I want my child to live here. It'd rely on another mod, and I'm not a big fan. I don't think Eleanor is a massive fan of sort of player homes always supporting children and such. So I think we're going to leave that, and the plan with this home is to have staff that you can hire. I'm not saying that you have to hire them, because some people are like, oh, I don't want loads of people walking around my home. So the idea is just to have the option to hire staff, and those can sort of sleep in here. I mean, they're going to have a bed unless they want to sleep outside, but yeah, I think this is going to be a location for sort of staff to be sleeping in. That's been decided. You might have noticed here as well, I've done a bit of something a bit funky with the stairs. I've sort of taken the mesh for the stairs, and I've put this nice white carpet on it. If you're wondering why everything looks far nicer in terms of Windhelm, that is Langley's texture resource, and that makes Windhelm look a lot better. Now, I did originally want to include this in the mod, but it's going to be hell, because I'm going to have to repath all the sort of the meshes for where the textures are, rename them, put them all in my own folder. The other option is to leave it optional, just leave it and say like you're best off downloading this with it, and I think that's what we're probably going to do. Or the other way is we can just include them as they are, which would overwrite the game's main ones, obviously giving full credit to Langley, and do it that way, have it as optional. So the little issue I was going to have with the stairs was I was thinking, well, is this the same sort of wood design? And it didn't seem to be taking it didn't seem to sort of disappear. I only installed the Langley's texture pack to see everything else go back to normal, which by the way it doesn't. So that is one thing to be aware of, is that when you overwrite them, you can't just get them back by uninstalling the mod. You'd want to keep a backup of your Windhelm stuff, or just let Steam revalidate the files. Otherwise it sort of messes up and everything goes purple, sort of destroys half your game. But it turns out that these stairs hadn't been replaced, so I was okay. So I can simply take that and add the white that I wanted on there. Also, I think the way that the mesh actually works, it will just be taking whatever texture is in the folder anyway, so even if Langley stuff does replace this wood, it should just do it anyway, and it shouldn't affect anything. So that should be okay, hopefully. Vertical painting with 2 torches. Ooh, torches maybe. Okay. We can give that a try. I think there's some nice sort of wall torches that you can get. Let's have a look. Those are wonderfully horrible. What the hell? No. Let's see what that looks like. Can't get the chat to load. I probably won't check the chat too often, so if I'm a bit slow on things, then I apologise. I don't have the luxury of 2 monitors at the moment. Maybe in the future. Sort of just work off one giant television myself. I'm just going to be messing with things, trying to even it out. Not too sure about that. I think it quite looks like it's a bit gothic-y. But I think it might be enough light from the fireplace. I mean, you haven't got to put a light source with this thing, but I think we'll leave it like that. Nice suggestion. That would look good in certain houses. The one thing is that the lighting does sort of need redoing. I think I'll leave that to Eleonora, because she's got a nice EMB and lighting setup, and my lighting is just a bit of a mess at the moment. I'm really not settled on it. Plus, it is a pain. I get the fun job of optimization and using room bounds, and if you haven't used room bounds before, then if you don't need to use them, don't use them, because they're just hell and very, very frustrating. So, but I think I need to use room bounds in this. It's going to have a lot of sort of custom, maybe not high res, but you know, some high res textures. It's more the sheer amount of stuff in here. A lot of stuff used by authors like Insanity, those kind of resources are pretty heavy, and the way that Bethesda sort of clutter their places is, to be honest, fairly basic. And if you take one of, say, Eleonora's homes, the way she designed places, like, clutters it really awesome. And even other people's homes, they tend to clutter them a lot more and want things in certain places, have the place look nice and full, unlike Bethesda's sort of way of doing things. I think the reason that Bethesda didn't fill up a lot of the places with tons of clutter is it literally does get too laggy, performance wise. Even with room bounds, they're not the best things in the world. The downside with room bounds is sometimes it affects lighting, and lighting is bad enough. If though any of you have sort of experienced flickering lighting, that is just a pain. I think I have got a tutorial about lighting, and I do mention that. I mean, they're bad enough. You get certain amounts with certain radiuses in small locations, it goes mad. And Corinthia Tower is the one mod that has been, or always will be, even the reborn version is a lot of trouble when it comes to sort of doing the lighting. It can take quite some time. So lighting is a pain. And this thing, see, I think I did mention that these wall mounts could be done. Now I've got a system on the dining table for the sort of table throws, and it cycles through, and I've just remembered that I have a nice idea for wall mounts. I think I'm going to do these as a furniture piece. So whenever you go up to a hearth fire statue, you get a little menu comes up. It's kind of like a crafting menu, and technically this would be the same. So a little bit of just a talk here. I think I'll do that, but mine's going to be a little cleverer, and it's going to, let's say, if any of you have played Oblivion, which I hope a lot of you have, because Oblivion was awesome. Probably my favourite Elder Scrolls. I do have a love for Morrowind, but that is so far in the past. I don't even remember a lot of Morrowind, and I don't think I ever completed it, to my shame. But anyway, yeah, any of you played Oblivion and you had the sort of downloadable content for it, if you played the castle mod, Battlethorn or something like that, can't remember the exact name. I was planning on making that in Skyrim, but I never did in the end. A load of people scream for castle mods, but if you ever played that, it had statues in there of animals. I think it was statues of animals that you could basically craft, in a sense. Or you would go up to this sort of person that you had hired. Don't actually know what they were, just some person that you had hired in that place, and you'd go up to them, you go through a few strings of dialogue, and they'd be able to craft you different sort of statues of animals. So I was thinking of implementing that system into this, but the thing is, when you would craft something like this, it would replace whatever's on the wall. So say we're going to use a load of deer pelts to create this deer on the wall here. If we were to then get rid of this deer and replace it with a bear, with bear pelts, when you go back to the deer, you technically shouldn't be having to recreate it, in the sense of having to get more deer pelts, because you've technically just taken it off the wall, you've already created it. So when they've not been created at least once, make it so you have to use a certain amount of materials to create it, and once it's been created but removed off the wall, I'm going to have like a little bool or a global variable, I think, so it recognises it. So I'll actually have to do double the recipes for the furniture, for the creation of the item. Oh, very confusing, but this could be fun. Actually, this could be quite fun to script. Let me think. I have used a system like this in Corinthia Tower, so I would have to dig out the script, I think, for... See, when I get a nice, good idea, I tend to get really focused on it and go for it, and when it's something that's becoming quite tedious, sometimes I just can't be asked. I have to leave it. So let's take a look. Let's check the chat. Come on, people. Is Twitch lying to me? I think Twitch is lying to me. Right. Corinthia Tower Reborn's not going to be there. This is going to be in documents, true documents. Yeah. Think about Windows, people. Your documents, they're not your documents. They're just where Windows likes to dump everything. So I make something called true documents, where I can keep my stuff separate. We want completed mods, then we want Corinthia Tower, then we want mod files, then we want version 2, then we want 2, then we want data, then we want scripts, then we want source, and oh god, statues, something. Oh my life. Oh, I bet this is funny if I open some of these scripts. They're ancient. Let's have a look at the teleport one. That's terrible. Okay. Statue pedestal. Oh my lord. I do have Notepad++. I just can't be bothered to get it as a default program, and I just can't adjust to it at the minute. Yes. Let's just have a look. This is very, very different. I'm sure I've used this in something. This is not it. This is just like a normal message system, which is blooming useless. Could have sworn I'd used it in this. Okay. Now what I have used it in is Riverside, I think. So let's dig up these. No. Modders version. There. The Modders version includes the source, so it's quite funny. It's probably not even worth hiding the source code. I'm going to let everybody know how to sort of steal things. If you ever have a script from a mod, and I am not saying that you should go opening all people's mod scripts up and stealing their code. I think if ever you specifically take a chunk of code from anybody's scripts, maybe even if it's quite simple, then just ask them first. I mean, don't just go stealing scripts. I mean, to be honest, right now I'm really not bothered if anybody uses my script, so I think I'll probably just start including a source. But I haven't been including the source code in most of my mods. The source code is the actual, to see how it's written. Basically, it's only the compiled versions that I include, and they're a load of gobbledygook. But if you use a program like PEX Decompiler, I think this is up on the Scribe Nexus, really good program, really simple. Decompile, you select the script that you want, the PEX version of it, and it will just decompile it, and I think it places it in the same folder that you've pulled it from. So just copy and paste the script that you want to decompile and see how it's done onto the desktop, and use this and open it up and take a look at it. So if ever you want to take a look at some of my scripts, see how I've done things, or if you ever want to do it with anyone else's mods, sometimes I do it myself just because I'm really intrigued. I want to know how someone's done something. In fact, there's a couple of mods that have come up recently. I'm like, how have you done that? And it just gives me a little hint as to how they've done things. Sometimes you'll open up a script and you'll look at it, and you'll look at it for a good 10 minutes and you'll be like, yeah, I still have no idea how they've done that. But it's good. It's also good for learning. I mean, just take a look at people's scripts. That's if they haven't included the source. There's always a way, people. It's like if people pack them up in BSAs, it's like, you can't see the loose files. You can. You just get something like the, I use the Fallout 3 archive. It works with Skyrim. I use this, and I just open up the BSA, and I take a look at the bits and pieces inside. So it's good, but I'm not saying still work. I think leave credit if you do, especially if you're re-uploading a specific thing that you've taken from something. You're not really supposed to do that. So, but we're wandering off from the whole thing that we were doing here, which I have now totally lost. I was looking at scripts, but yeah, this is what a live stream's all about. Let's just wander off, and this is basically what I do all the time. I might be focusing on one thing, and then boom, I'm just suddenly focusing on something completely different. You get sidetracked very easily, but let's try and stay on track. Let's try and find this script that we want. I'm still not used to this new mouse. Let's go data, scripts. Let's try and find it. Now I've got to figure out what my own logic was behind the name, which I'm probably not going to find out. How's this? Yeah, volumes should be okay. Yeah. Nobody feels like chatting. I don't know if the chat's ballsed up or Twitch in general. Hopefully this is streaming okay. And let's have a think. Probably staring me in the face and I'm not looking at it. Armour stands. That'll be it. There we go. So this is fun. Object references here for male and female armors. That is a lot more detail that I don't actually need for the mounts. So I'm just going to need object references for the things that I'm enabling and disabling. Then I'm going to need form lists. What the heck? Okay, I've got to remember how this works now. Form lists. Okay. Steel and magic and iron. On container change. If loaded my return this. Oh my life. Okay. Get what the form list for. That's different. So on container change, this is going to work similar to what I explained in the other live stream, and how I might have explained in my scripting tutorials, is as the item is created, it's obviously added to the player. So it's going to be removing itself at the end, but before it does that, it's going to enable what you want. So I think it's going to just have to work like that. It shouldn't be too much different. I think what it'll have to just go disable everything. I'm just trying to figure out what this form was all about, really. Performance, go away. I thought I'd turn that off, obviously not. Does it again? I shall turn it off. Okay, I'm just not going to stare at that any longer. Form lists are very strange. Hello. Function mode return. Aha! That was for returning items. I don't need this. I don't need that in this. That makes sense. I don't need to worry about form lists. That's just because it's for armor stands, and when something's taken off the stand, it needs to be given back to you. essentially, but we're not giving an item back. We are simply just taking it off and flicking a switch. We're doing a global variable thing in place of that. So let's get the functions and the events. That should give me a general idea of how this needs to work. And click that off. I just want to look at that email. Every time I get an email, I can't stand that number in the corner and I have to look at it. Always checking my email. Right, let's think about this. What mounts have we got? We've probably got a few new mounts from the Hearthfire stuff. That's not a mount. Narrow this down a bit. Bear, 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 bear. Lots of freaking bears. Oh, this is going to be fun. Another little thing for you. As soon as I've previewed this, the bear is facing me. Now, when you get items which are in your inventory, the camera angle is facing, the item needs to be facing away from you when you open the preview, for it to be facing towards you in the miscellaneous list, if that makes sense. So when you're looking at an item in your inventory, it's usually facing you and the rotation is fine. I'm not sure how you edit a mesh and change where the camera's facing. I think you've probably got to do that in a program like 3D Max or something, or Blender, and I don't know how to do that. But the easiest blag is to go into NIFScope, and if something, when you load it up, is facing the wrong way, so you're looking at the rear of it instead, the best thing to do is just rotate it 180. So when you load up the preview, it's always facing away. Now some of these are already facing away from me, so that's fantastic. But when I go into the furniture menu, these need to be facing me like that. So I'm probably going to have to open a lot of these up and have my very own meshes for all of my wall mounts, or most of them, and have 180 degree rotated versions of them. Hopefully they've got a lot of these in Hearthfire, and I'm not going to have to worry too much. But I'm guessing not. Mounts. Oh, have they saved my bacon? Now I've gone into preview there, funnily enough. Gone to preview and it's facing me, but sometimes it's not always the case. Sometimes it is actually facing the right way. It's very confusing, but the majority of the time with most of the items in the vanilla game, the base game, they're sort of facing the wrong way whenever you try and make miscellaneous item versions of them. But because these are build your own home, I assume the camera angles are right anyway, so they're already facing the right way when they're in your inventory. I think I am just gonna do the easiest thing and just use the mounts that are available here, because when you spin them around, they've got the proper they've sort of got the back plates to them. That's far better, that is. So that's nice. And I've just figured out what to do. You might have noticed, if you played with a side shack, when you refurbish the home, at first you'll notice that the wall mount on the wall is blank. So what I do is I take one of these and I just delete the block of the animal on it and create a blank wall mount. And that's what I'll sell in the shop. I'll sell a blank wall mount, and then from there you can activate that. That'll act as furniture, and that should then allow you to place what you want on the wall. That's how I do it. So all these are actually they're not going to be a static item, they're not going to be an activator. They're going to actually be furnishing items, and then there'll have to be miscellaneous item versions of them. So that's different. Okay. So if we remove this off the wall, and we'll sort of dive into NIFScope a minute, I think. Now, where are these based at? Easiest one to do is usually a saber cat. I'll leave those antlers, they're not going to be counted because they're a different amount. Now, some of these are a slightly different shape, but that's okay. As long as you've got an initial sort of wall mount thing. Let's go with this one. Build your own home, architecture, build your own home. Now what I do is I open up the Friday BST and then I extract all the meshes and textures to this little fence here. This is a program called Fences, by the way, that's allowing me to box things up. Really useful. You can either have a free version or pay for it. I've paid for it because it is brilliant and it's relatively cheap. But yeah, I always export the textures and meshes, so whenever I need to like take a look at a mesh that's within the game, because you can't, because they're all sort of packaged up, I can just go in, I can copy and paste one onto my desktop and then mess with it from there. So we need to go build your own home, then we need to go architecture, then build your own house. We should have some mounts. What is it? What's the path? Architecture, build your own house, interface. There we go. It's probably going to be mounts somewhere. Oh, come on, what is it? Close the preview, don't need that. Face. Really? Face. Oh, Jesus. Yep, they've listed them under face. Oh my gosh. Oh, dearie me. This could be fun. What is this about? Face, what is that? Bear cave, there we go. So I'm going to open this one up, select that, block, remove branch. There we go. Now I've got a blank wall mount. I'm going to navigate to my meshes. Merscum. Just put it under furnishing. Wall mount blank. Oh, balls! I've done it again. I swear I did that last time. Screwed up on my typing. Yeah, more wall mount. Yeah, that's so good. There you go. Wall mount blank. We open that up. Don't worry about the white. Basically, it can't find the textures because they're packaged away in the BSA, which is normal. I just want to click that email. Anyone else in the chat? No, there we go. Finally, got it to work. Nice one. Chrome. Damn you, Chrome. Yeah, I don't think there's a proper browser out there at the moment. I think they've all got their good and bad points, but I can't pick one. That doesn't annoy me at some stage. Chrome's major issue is crashing and how much memory it takes up. So we need to take this and edit it and then just create a new form. So we're going to go edit, and we're going to go Merscum, and we're going to go furnishing, wall mount blank. There we go, see, there's our blank wall mount. Then rename it, and we're going to go MOR wall mount, and actually spell it correctly. There we go. Wall mount. Now, I can either sell this in the shop, or I could have it crafted. I think we'll make this a craft item, which means I've completely done that wrong. Needs to go with the rest of my naming system. Let's just go wall mount. We'll make this craftable. So we'll go add, and we will choose. What is it? You have to go under build your own home furniture. Click OK, create a new form because we had an original. Go back into that, realise you clicked on the wrong one, and then click on that one. There we go, remove that. Scripts are very funny. You sometimes need to sort of refresh it and make sure that the new ID has been registered before scripts can be changed around with. That's just the thing I'm sure I've mentioned before. Now we're going to click add, and we're probably going to get an error. There we go, that's usually if you've got the DLC. I think Dawn Guard might be the culprit with that. And then we get to make a new script, which no we don't, no. We have to add a craft script just for this one, which needs to be craft item there, and we're going to double click that, then we're going to go craft item. That's going to have to be itself because it doesn't work by saying self in the script. Don't know why, or it hasn't worked for me at least. Then we're going to go with wall mount blank, so message, we're going to go MOR, and we're going to go craft item, let's just say 1 hour, autofill the game hour, then we'll double click on the thing that doesn't exist, I'll put that in a sec. Then we're going to go time, and we'll put 1 for the 1 hour, click OK on that and confirm that. Now we're going to want a furniture item of our wall mount, so I think I'm going to go build your own home, see if any of these are going to work for me. Oh, this is going to be fun. Okay, I think let's just get a general idea off one of these. Whoa, that's flip that. Okay, what's the best one of these items to sort of use as a base? I haven't got to fill everything in. Let's go down. No, not build your own, why bother? Let's go down. Yeah. It's something simple. Screw it, we'll go with a chair. Let's edit that. This is... oh, that's not going to work. Screw the chair. Just make one from scratch. Let's go with the model because it's not going to be a marker, so I'm going to worry about that. It's still in the same place. We'll select empty wall mount. I'm going to call this more F for furniture. Wall mount blank. Wall mount blank. Random animation start no. Show can use no. Is marker no because it won't be visible. Disables activation no. Must exit to talk no. Is perch no. No. None of the tick words are really needed there. Interaction keyword. Oh, this is where I need help. Can't remember. Let's just go actor type NPC. Actor type NPC. Bench type. This needs to just be create a general object. Not going to use any skill, I don't think. Although we probably can, because they're only going to be single items, so we haven't got to worry about it being overpowered. So maybe it could be smithing. Yeah, I think we'll have that as smithing. Then we're going to have to... yeah. Keywords. I'm going to make my own keyword for this. So this is going to be MORK. This keyword, for those of you that don't know how this works, this is going to state itself as its own workbench, its own list of items, so that when we go to the recipe and we say what the keyword is, it only shows up the only items that are going to show on the workbench are the ones with this keyword. That makes sense. This is the workbench in a sense. Very strange. So this is just having itself its own list, and then any recipes with this keyword will appear in this thing's list. Really confusing, but it will work. So wall mount. Click OK. Don't know really about any other furniture. Let's just go, because it might need one of these. Even though it's not a crafting bench, it might be acting like one. So we don't need to force third person, we don't need furniture special because it isn't. Carpenter table is a no. Is blacksmith workbench? I might need. I think it's going to be his blacksmith workbench if we need anything else there. Just to say yes, this does create things. Then we haven't got any active markers, and we haven't got to worry about marker points, any of that. That should be absolutely fine. I can double check that another time anyway. Click OK on that. Then we're going to go with our wall mount. There it is. And then we're going to center it best we can. So that's it. There we go. Anyway. Right. That looks about as centre as it's going to be. And that will be furniture, that will be activatable, hopefully. And let's just double check the 3D data. Let's just offset this, because sometimes when something's an activator it can be very awkward with it. I think it's only usually with triggers, but better safe than sorry. Offset it slightly. Then I'm also going to disable it, because it's going to be purchased from, no it's not, sorry, it's going to be crafted. So the thing that I hadn't set yet was a script for the item, so it needs to know what to enable. This is what's going to be enabled once it's created. Then we're going to need a construction item for it. These that's not them. More CA. These are recipes for items that you can currently craft. So if we I'll show that in a second. Actually, I'll just take any one of these because it's easy way to start. Keyword, this is the keyword that we just made to say that this is the list it needs to go in. Then we're going to remove these. This is just going to be taking basic firewood, let's just say 2, just to be a pain. Then we're going to say get disabled. This has to be disabled for this recipe to be available. That's fine. And then we're going to select the item to be this wall mount. There you go, so we've got the wall mount keyword, one item, firewood, 2, change the name. So this will be wall mount blank. And we've changed it to make sure it's getting the right disable object, and create new because we edited a current one and I've clicked the wrong button. And now I'm just going to quickly show you the items at the moment that you can sort of craft. So a lot of these should be facing away from me to begin with, so if we zoom out, whoa, some of these still need sorting out, they're a bit funky at the minute. So as you can see, if I spin them around, I've got different furniture pieces that you can sort of create. These are all sort of craftable things. You'll be crafting your bed, your doors, kitchen stuff. Bookcases and all sorts. That's just to display the sort of candles that you create in your lighting and stuff. Lounge chairs. As you can see, there's our wall mount. Wardrobe, little wash basin I've sort of made up as well. Windows, I've just used glass for the minute because I can't be bothered to design a little window, but I might do at some point. And we're just going to save that before the kit crashes and makes everybody angry. And that is it for the minute. So about 10 minutes left, I'll probably end the stream. Haven't got many in tonight, which is a shame, unless of course Twitch is lying to me. And then we have to create actual items for this. I've done that recipe wrong. The keyword I've made for this furniture piece needs to be for all our wall mounts, not for the main craft for the original one that appears. So we need to go back into this wall mount and we need to change this back to the normal crafting one, and all my other wall mounts will have that because they'll be pulled off themselves, and this one, if that makes sense. So let's see if we can at least make one wall mount for this. Let's go with something grizzly. Actually no, let's go with the saber cat. If you're wondering, these saber cat heads, I have no idea what mod it is, but there is a mod that makes like the saber cats actually look really awesome. and
You've
I've got
got
that,
mail.
and I've got mail. So I've got that mod. I couldn't tell you what it is, I'm afraid. Build your own home, architecture, blah blah blah. That's interesting. Right, so we're just gonna, oh, wrong one. Just gonna edit this. We're gonna make one of these. I'm going to, I think I'm not going to put this under craft tool. I'll put it as 127 mount. Then it's going to be Sabercat. Mounted Sabercat head, that's fine. I'm just going to confirm that. Create new, because we've edited the original. Then I'm going to remove the script. Then I'm going to add a keyword. That keyword needs to be, I suppose it can just be general clutter really. This is just what it's going to show up in your menu, in your inventory, but it's not going to show in your inventory anyway, so that probably doesn't matter. It probably doesn't even need one, but I'll just put that anyway. Then that needs to be playable. Playable is very important, otherwise it's just, is it important? If you don't have playable ticked, it's not going to show inside of your inventory. And technically we don't need it to, and I think it would still be added to inventory, but in terms of testing and to always make sure that it's alright, I'm just going to leave it as playable. Either way, it's not going to be left in your inventory anyway, so I might as well tick it as playable, so I'll make sure I do that for each of them. Weight and value I'm just going to leave as naught. It's a shame we can't remove them entirely because we're not technically buying it or holding it, but even Bethesda flagged it this way. Then we're going to need to add our script. Now we're going to need a brand new script for this. I did copy that, so I'm going to have to find it again because I think I've copied other things since. Oh no, I haven't. Let's go MORS and wall mount. That's going to be it. I'm going to go edit source. I'm going to paste all that in. Then I'm going to adjust this to be what I need. It's just going to be like disabling all the wall mounts. Okay, this is how I sort of organise my now. 20 along there. That needs to be in capitals. There we go. Put my properties there. Then my events there. I'm going to need one for functions. Why does that look screwed up? That's because it is. I know it's pathetic, but it's got to look right. Then that's going to be like object. Oh, come on. I'm at a bit of an angle with my keyboard today. Object reference property, and then I'm going to start naming these. So it's going to be more mount cat. That could be my first one. So we'll just do one for the minute just to give us the idea of what we're doing. Now I'm only going to need one function here. I've done it again. And I've put friggin' properties. Now you can tell it's getting late. Shattered. Okay, it's not going to be mailed this. It's going to be mount this. This for disable, not as in take the piss out of. So then we're going to have, what will it be? More mount cat dot disable. What I'd like to do with these streams is be able to sort of load up the game and show you things not working or working if I actually do things right the first time. but I'm not sure how it reacts, so I think I'm going to have to do like a little test at some point and get someone to help me out and see if it does do it okay. Plus I would really like my new processor before I really attempted that, because I'm working off a, don't get me wrong, a very reliable Phenom, but maybe not the best thing in the world when it comes to multitasking God knows how many things. I can probably do something a bit more beast worthy, but there we go. Now that's going to be that. So it's going to be, is the player this certain sex? No, don't need that in there. These can be changed. This can be much more simple than this. Now actor base equals player base, game.get player object as actor base. But we don't need that, and I'm glad we don't need that, because that has just confused the shit out of me. So mail mail return isn't needed. Simply disable all the other items, enable the one we want, then remove the item. It is as simple as that. So it's not mail this, it's going to be mount this. Mount this. Anyway, it's going to be oh god, mount to enable. So we're going to need an object reference for that. And here I go again, I can't type the word reference. Mount to enable. So you got mount this, mount to enable, game.get item, and then we're going to want mount item. So now we're going to need a misc item as well, because if you remember what I said earlier on, and what I've said countless times before, it can't state itself, as it doesn't work for some reason. So this is going to be mount item. Now these are going to be the more mount cat is going to be very specific about the object reference, so that's going to autofill because they're all going to have their own reference names. But mount to enable is going to be different for each mount, and so is the mount item, because we're going to have different items. Otherwise you'll be making a script for every single one of them, and that's just, it's stupid. So we've got our events, we've got our functions, we've got our properties all laid out. I'll probably click Control and S and this will go completely balls up, but hopefully we've put this down right. Hey, first time compile, lovely jubbly. Right, so we've got more S, wall mount, mount cat, and we're obviously going to need to put the cat here now. So where the heck is he? Okay, house interior part. Balls to that. Maybe I'm just going to do this by for the minute. Oh lovely, it's not marked as playable. Of course we're going to have furniture versions of these now, aren't we? So this is going to get rather entertaining, because I'm going to have to copy the model of these. Copy the model in, I'll do one and it'll get me started quite nicely. So we're going to have more, and I'm going to put, am I going to put, yep, I'm going to put static mount cat, and then I'm going to click the wrong button. There we go. So we're going to go edit, go on a meshes, paste the location, there we go. That should be absolutely fine. Click OK on that, and then more static mount. I'm going to place them over here. Just going to hide that one. Looking pretty awesome. And we'll be able to choose what mount we want. Hopefully you can reach, otherwise I'm going to have to put a box there. So that's going to be completely wrong, because I just said that I need to make a furniture one, but dear me. Like I said, it's getting late. My excuse is that it's getting late. So I'm going to go new with this. I'm going to go model. I'm going to go edit. I'm going to paste. Okay. I want new. I want more K. Then I want my wall mount keyword. Then I want is blacksmith. Then I want actor type MPC. I don't want to click any of them. I want the bench type to be create an item. And I want this to be smithing. Oh, do I? I don't think I do, because it's not going to be counted as smithing if it ends up being one of the recipes that's already been created. So I'm probably going to leave that as not smithing, plus there's plenty of ways in the game anyway to get smithing, so I'm probably just going to wall mount blank and just changing that to leave that out, because that's not always going to be the case, is it? Then we haven't got any markers, haven't got to worry about that. We just need to go more F. Where is it? We're going under wall mount and cat. Don't think that's updated yet. So I'm going to click that. Ah, there we go, that's why. It's facing the wrong flipping way. So, that's that. The name can be Sabercat Head, I suppose. And that does not say Saber. I don't actually know what that says. That says Sabercat Head. It's better. Click OK on that. I'm going to go Control F here. Untick same base object type. So we don't want another static. This might take a while to load. Then we want to replace it with more F. And we are looking for wall mount cat. There we go.
You've got mail.
That just made me jump a friggin' mile. You've got mail again. There we go. Save that. Then we should be able to go in. He should be available as a prompt. He should bring up a menu, and once I've set it up, I'll be able to select all my other sort of mounts. In fact, the other thing I need to do is I need to give him that reference. So I'm going to go MOR. Oh, dearie me. MOR mount cat, I believe it was. Initially disabled. Everything's going to have to be initially disabled here. Then we need to go to the item, and because he's out and fill in these properties, can't I? So I can go hold on, more mount cat. Let's just see if that auto fills. Yep, that no auto fills to that, which is confusing me. That's not good. No, that's correct. It's like I'm just getting confused. We'll have one for every single one, which should all autofill on their own selves, and then mount to and enable is just going to be custom to this specific one because it's the cat. It's just confusing me because we've only got one at the moment. Then more item is obviously going to be its mount item is going to be itself. There we go. Mount Sabercat. That's what we want. So that's it. That will do, and I will save it, and at some point I will test it, and we shall see it working eventually, or I will anyway. You'll see it working when the mod's released. So yeah, so what have we done? We've done a bit of scripting, bit of jibber jabber, bit of talk on different things. I was actually going to do something a lot more confusing and weird with scripting, which involved something over here, but I think it would probably ruin the surprise of what I have planned. So that is it. That is my first official proper scheduled live stream over. I hope that if anybody did join me, because I actually have no idea, because this is I think this is just lying to me, to be honest. Those of you that did join me, thank you very much. Those of you that didn't and caught up later on, then I hope that you do enjoy this sort of this stream anyway. The pre-recorded. I've got to figure out what to call that. So yeah, that's it. Great stuff. I will be planning another one next week, hopefully, if nothing stops it. Should be fine. I'll get this uploaded in the morning for those of you watching now, and that is it. Please check out my main website, my antisocial websites, all the usual. Subscribe to me on my YouTube channel if you haven't already, which I'm sure you have. Hit that like button if you're watching this on YouTube afterwards. Follow me on Twitch if you like. That should be it. Thank you very much for watching. I'll speak to you next time.